Well, hey you guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Jeff. We are the Animal Donut family. Hopefully you have clicked that like button and subscribed to the channel as well. Today we're going to talk about a growth stock that I have never talked about on this channel yet. It is part of the 10 stock portfolio that I began at the start of 2025. And this portfolio has been doing really well this year. It's beating the S&P 500 by a large margin. Last I checked, about 8% outperformance. You know, of course, we all hope that we're gonna trounce the market, but it is really, really hard. As anyone who has picked stocks knows, you just pick one or two or three stocks that wind up being losers and they just drag that whole portfolio down. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about a stock that has actually lifted my portfolio up. I have 10 stocks. 3 of them are right at that 20% return in my portfolio or greater. And one of them is called Quanta Services. And the ticker symbol for this is PWR. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this video is not financial advice, just getting that out front here because, you know, we all got to do our own research and I could always be wrong on a stock. I kind of came across this company by chance, but you know, it's kind of this randomness about my research that sometimes leads me to stumble upon a new company. Now, I had invested in Vistra Energy and Constellation Energy last year, back in 2024. And I really knew that I wanted to invest in constant source energy companies, especially ones like nuclear that can be counted on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As much as I like renewable sources like wind and solar, you can't count on the sun to be out every day. Like today, it's kind of cloudy and it's not always windy. And so nuclear, on the other hand, though it does have some aspects of potentially being dangerous or hard to dispose of the waste. I'm not saying it's a perfect energy source, but it's dependable and it works when it's dark, it works when it's light, it works when it's windy, it works when it's not windy. I watched a bunch of videos about Quanta and I found 2 things I want to share with you because they led me to this stock investment, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the investment's been a really solid one. The first thing was, I saw an interview with Earl Austin. His nickname is Duke. He was on a podcast and I just heard him talk about the business, about what he does, and the way he cares about the people who work at the company. It's an electric contracting company. To put it in the simplest words from my understanding, as you build out an electrical grid or a network of connecting power suppliers, like whether it's nuclear or solar or wind or gas or oil, when you get that electrical energy, you have to transmit it like across the country, across the state, cities, whatever. These are the linemen and women who climb those poles, who make sure that the lines are working. They go out there when there's a storm, when there's a flood, when there's a hurricane and the lines are down. They're the ones that are up there risking their lives, climbing these poles, and they're known as linesmen and women. And what I noticed is he really cared about them, about their safety, about them having jobs that they liked, about providing health care for them, you know, good insurance. And it didn't seem to me like it was a lot of BS. It seemed to me like he actually came from the trades or maybe had a background working in a blue-collar, hands-on industrial job. And this gave him kind of respect for this type of work. So he wanted to, you know, he wants to run a company where the people working there like it. And then I started reading the comments under the video, this interview of Duke Austin, and a lot of the people either said, oh yeah, I used to work at Quanta, it's a really good company, he looks out for his people. Or people who work there now and just say, yeah, this is a great company. It's rare, you know, everybody likes to bellyache, complain, bitch and moan and say how horrible their company is, la da la da la da, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. But here you just had a guy who to me seemed like a stand-up, direct, straight shooter, cares about the company, cares about the people, and then you never know whether the comments are legit or not, but it seemed to me. So that was, one of the things that told me this might make sense. Liking the CEO is a very subjective thing. It's not part of the math. It's not part of the, is this company have a moat or not? It's nothing you're going to read a formula about on how to pick stocks. But I think spending some time listening to the CEO and getting a grasp on what they're all about. Some warning signs to me, when I hear a CEO and they're talking about things like, we grow our earnings every quarter, when we've been doing it continually for 3 years or 5 years, that to me is kind of a warning, because it means that they're focusing on some metric or some data point that they're very proud of because they're trying to look good to investors. But that also means, that what, they never have a bad quarter? It means to me that if they are having a bad quarter, they're probably gonna move the numbers around and change things with the statistics to make it look like their earnings are good. And they may do it in a way that hurts the company. There are lots of ways to juice earnings that aren't beneficial to the business overall. So I think, CEOs who talk a lot, or they're just incessantly talking about share buybacks, like, oh, we do this to, enhance shareholder value, and they really brag about that. Shareholder buybacks or share buybacks, they can destroy shareholder value if they pay too much when they buy back their shares. And a lot of times this is not even addressed. But if you buy back your shares when they're cheap, you really help. You're getting a discount on those shares. But if you're the CEO and you've decided, regardless of price, you're going to buy back hundreds of millions or billions of dollars of shares, and you pay too much, you're going to destroy the value of the company. Happens all the time. So when I hear that kind of stuff, it's a warning flag. I don't like promises that earnings are going to be smooth every quarter. I don't like people who sound too much like they're trying to win you over as a shareholder. I'd rather somebody tell you something about problems, mistakes, or talk about their employees in a way that suggests that they're running the show not only for the shareholder, not only for their own enrichment as the CEO, they won't tell you that, but once you get a feel of the culture of a company and the people who work there and how happy they are, that will give you a really solid insight into the nature of what you're buying when you buy the stock. And all of us have bought stock at some point where we probably didn't know everything about a business. There was something about the leadership, the CEO, the executives, or there was something about the way they were treating their customers or their employees that came out later, and you're like, and it really hurts the company. And there's a lot of dishonesty in corporate America, as you guys know. So the more you can understand the culture, and that usually starts at the CEO. If there's a CEO, they've been at that job for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe they founded the company, and the company's been doing well and people seem to like working there, that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. The mistakes I have made in my investing career were they were mistakes of omission, not commission. There were companies where I knew enough and I admired the company enough that I could have gone ahead and bought the stock. But instead, I got, distracted or hung up on some detail that really didn't matter, and that prevented me from buying. So it was really the errors of omission that hurt when you look back, not the stock that you bought that went down a little bit. Usually those are, you made a mistake, big deal, but it's the ones that are like fish that got away, that you could have had, but we all have probably one somewhere in our memory bank where we went, oh, I should have bought that. I knew enough. I was about to push the button and buy those shares. Why didn't I? So there you go, Quanta Services. I'm revealing this one a little earlier than I figured I would probably reveal this one June 1st, but here we are, middle of May. But I wanted you guys to know, and I think so far I've already revealed one of the big winners in this portfolio of 10, Sterling Infrastructure. And yeah, here's another that's just done amazingly well. And I'm just happy to be a shareholder of both companies. But something about Duke Austin, you know, do yourself a favor, do a little search on YouTube after you watch this. Of course, hit like before you leave this video. But do a little search on Duke Austin, or Earl Austin, I don't know, one or the other. Or how about Duke Earl Austin, Quanta Services? And like, listen to the guy talk a little bit and see if you don't feel like, oh, he's a good dude. He'd be a good person to work with. So that heavily influenced, gave me the confidence to go and act on this particular intuition to buy this stock. So thanks for hanging with me. I know it's been a little bit of a video, but hopefully, you know, just you hearing me reflect a little bit on some of the things I did, interest in energy and power, searching keywords like power, energy, led me to PWR ticker symbol. PWR ticker symbol, Quanta Services. Huh, let me learn about this company. Oh, Duke Austin. Hey, stand-up guy. All right, let me do a little more reading. And, you know, a few months later, there I am buying shares of Quanta Systems every month of 2025. And so far, it's been a great journey. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Always love to hear from you guys. If you're new here and you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit the little subscribe button. And then you'll hear my thoughts and ideas about small cap, mid cap stocks, stuff in all kinds of sectors. I like to focus on stuff having to do mainly with like tech, data centers, energy, semiconductors, stuff like that. So if that interests you and you have your own stock portfolio and you're trying to become a better investor, I hope you will subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.